an interesting plot line from a manga you've never heard of.
You doubt my ability. You doubt my knowledge.
There is no way you heard this one. This story, here's the blurb. The fate...
You could do it. You made me say the uncomfortable thing last time.
It's just the first sentence is hilarious.
The Demon Slayer manga, just the one manga series, outsold the entire United States comic book industry in the United States. One manga outsold DC and Marvel. All of them.
Damn.
Welcome everyone to the Tutor Round podcast. My name is Richard.
My name is Austin.
And Austin, I think manga is taking over.
It's over.
Demolishing.
Books are a time of the past.
Books are gone.
Manga is with the new kiddos.
Oh, yeah. Did you hear the news that Merphy Napier is now going full manga?
Merphy
on
Napier,
her main channel.
Merphy Napier, one of the two fantasy booktube goats. It's her and it's Daniel Green, and she is now making her second channel, which has like a measly 40,000 subscribers.
Measly.
Anyone under 40,000 subscribers,
please. Pshaw.
If there's ever a day where someone looks back in this video and we're higher than 40,000, we made it. That's what I'm.
That's the level of success.
But Murphy's channel that has 437,000 subscribers. Oh my god, the money she probably makes. It's so wonderful.
It's a living wage.
On her main channel, she announced that her main channel will be manga focused. And so you and I went, oh my goodness, that's a good podcast topic. Why does BookTube seem to be focusing on mangas rather than large books? And there's a lot of reasons for that, we think.
Yeah.
I know we got some thoughts on this.
I think a couple key elements to it is, one, the nature of manga means it's quicker to produce. It's quicker to consume as well. So
which makes a large variety.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have a huge variety of stuff, which does mean there's a lot of stinkers in there.
Oh.
There's a lot of stinkers.
I have a surprise for you.
But there's some gems in there.
Yeah,
there's way more gems come to the surface if you have a large volume.
Exactly. And I have a surprise for you. I have some stinker plot lines here. I looked up I went into the deep dark web and I found some, not animes, mangas that have some interesting plot lines I wanted to see your reaction from. But that comes with the territory.
I don't think you're going to surprise me. I'm probably going to know them.
No way.
I bet I know it, and I bet I know worse.
Well, let's do this first. So for the person out there that doesn't know what manga is.
Yeah.
What is manga, Richard? What is that
for you guys under a rug. Or
under a rug? I've never heard that before.
I don't know. Living under a rug, living under a rock. People over 40. It's fine.
Actually, we do have a good sizable chunk of our audience that's over 40.
It's great because we do books.
Yeah. Hey, if you're over 40, comment I'm old down below.
Yeah. Old and decrepit down below there.
So for
give
people,
you our sympathies.
For people that don't know, what is it? What's manga?
Manga is the Japanese version of comic books. It's effectively that. If you want to get into it, there are differences, but for people who don't know anything about it, that's what it is. Typically, there is more of a serious tone to it. So there's manga for children, like there are comic books for children and teens, but manga tends to have a large amount that is for more adult content.
Yes. And just to give an example, usually there's your big mangas. What, One Piece is the top selling ever.
Yeah, you get your Shonen Jump manga, which is your big teen stuff.
What's that mean? Shonen? What is
Shonen
that?
Jump is the magazine.
That's a magazine.
Yeah.
Okay. So One Piece is the top selling whenever. People might know that now because it's a Netflix live action has adapted the first chapters or so of One Piece. I've heard of things like
first couple
volumes. There's your Naruto, Pokemon. Pokemon's a manga turned to anime, right?
Yes.
Yeah?
Effectively, yes.
Why was that a questionable yes? Is there more to that I don't know?
I'm questioning. I believe it's game first, then manga, then anime.
A manga's involved there somewheres.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So to give an example of one of the reasons of why manga has just exploded, and we're going to look at Murphy's news shortly here, but manga has such a wide freaking variety of, and just to give you an example, Rich, I have several. I have some factoids I'm going to give up about manga throughout this episode, and I have some weird manga plot lines I'm going to give you, okay?
Okay.
This manga story is called The Female Fridge. Have you heard of this one, Rich?
I don't think so. Maybe. Give me the plot line.
Here's the blurb, okay? When a woman wakes up one morning, not only does she find herself in a strange apartment, but she also becomes a literal refrigerator. As she attempts to come to terms with her new life as a refrigerator, she sees a familiar face walking toward her. Much to her luck, she finds out she's in the apartment of a man named Kuji, who just so happens to be her crush. Soon, she begins to enjoy her newfound state and is treated with all the perks of living with the man she loves and helping him keep his produce nice and fresh. However, Kuji's girlfriend suddenly appears in the apartment, and this refrigerator gets a little jealous.
You know the sad thing? That's not even very original in the manga space.
No way.
Yeah.
That seems so original to me.
Here's the thing. There are several. There like a lot
Yeah.
of manga that is related of the same exact vein of person through some magical weird means becomes an inanimate object that is living through some experience.
Yeah.
I know of one which is just stupid. I haven't read it, but I saw it.
Okay.
Of a guy is transported to a magical world and he's a vending machine in a magical world.
That's freaking useless. What? That's amazing.
Yeah, there's ones there's a bunch of weird ones. That's not even that original.
Well, hey,
there's a lot of fun garbage out there.
All I'm saying is people make fun of Western audiences for fridging female protagonists, and look at Japan literally making females fridges. I'm just saying there's something to be said there. Okay.
Yeah, no, there's something to be said, but manga itself, because they don't have to write a huge amount of prose. The process isn't as long. They can produce something a lot quicker. Also, due to Japan's work ethic and very hostile work environments, they produce those things real quick.
This is not a spoiler for Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, okay? I just want to preface this.
Hard segue.
No. This has to do exactly with what you're saying. You're going to agree with me.
Yeah.
This is not a spoiler. This is a line that has nothing to do with the plot, but a character named Winfrey in the story, because you know how you're saying Japan's work ethic. Winfrey in the show turns and looks into the camera, dead in all those teenage boys and us and people that are watching, past. By the way, Full Metal Alchemist is this anime based off of a manga, and it's 60 episodes long. And of course, Richard and I binged the whole thing. We watched it in maybe 2-3 days, where we were couch potatoes, loving every second of it. Fantastic show. But then at the last episode, this character, Winfrey, turns and looks at Richard and I, specifically, not the audience, looks at us. And Winfrey, the character, says, "There is nothing worse than a man who sits at home alone all day and does nothing."
It hurt.
And since that day, we started the podcast. We said we're going to do something with our lives. But there's this definite culture around Japan of work ethic and not being what we did, watching 60 episodes in a row on the couch, which I felt such guilt when Winfrey said that.
Well, there's a ton of really sad stories of. So let's set the scene of comparison.
Yeah.
American comic books, typically a little bit shorter issues, can often be once a month issues, and they have teams of people working on these things.
Yeah.
Story editor, several different artists working together to storyboard this thing out, all that. Manga is typically done mostly 90-something% by one person. They do it all. They draw
the art as well?
The art and everything.
Wow.
Most manga is written by one person. And then you have some things where it's a team effort a little bit.
Okay.
But for example, Oda, who writes One Piece, that's basically just him.
The guy that Oda's the person that writes One Piece.
He writes One Piece. It's his thing. It's almost exclusively him. His team kind of touches up some of his art. He puts it in the sketch, and they will go back with some color. Sometimes they'll finish up lines, but he basically does it. It's a one-man band, and sometimes, and instead of once a month, the issue is coming out once a week. Those get hard deadlines. It's detrimental to their health. Several times. So there's the creator of Hunter x Hunter went through some serious health problems because of the amount of work that was put onto him. That he was making these huge chapters.
Yeah.
Every single week. He basically had no time off ever. Like 100-hour weeks.
Oh.
It's crazy.
Oh. That's what you put me on.
I know.
Austin edits. I'm sure I can't.
So all this to say of when I say faster to produce, not that it is necessarily easier or like, oh yeah, it's lazier. No, part of this is Japan doing Japan things to their workers.
But
that's
also, is it comparable to say a manga? Again, I'm not degrading the manga by saying this, but a manga's like TikTok as is a book is to YouTube? Or maybe a manga is a YouTube video as a book is to a movie. Just where to put a book together that is that massive. Or a fan, you get what I'm saying?
That's the fair point.
Yeah. A fantasy book, for example, look behind you.
A book to movie
Yeah.
is something of... What is the best... A book to movie is in the same way of a book to manga.
Yeah.
Like in similar quality, but it's a different medium, but normally is a bit faster to produce.
Sure, because a book will take there's more chapters. If you're saying mangas come out chapter by chapter weekly, and so you can produce a lot more, just like a TikTok video or a podcast episode. Our podcast episode can take a week to produce. And it could be out there.
And we're talking about this faster to produce. It is also much faster to consume. A chapter of manga is typically not going to run you longer than maybe 5 minutes.
Right.
And that chapter is once a week type of deal. So that's pretty fast.
It's real fast.
You can run through a large amount of manga pretty darn quickly. Now, if you have something like One Piece, which is over 1,000 chapters, that adds up. That's pretty darn long. That's several novels worth of time. It's a lot.
So you're telling me don't get Sanderson near manga because he will overrun the community. Like if he's able to produce the amount of books he's producing, just wait till he gets a hand on. Ooh,
Yeah, not fun.
so all these reasons are then why you see booktubers, the big ones like Daniel Green and Merphy. Not just recently, there's been a trend of where booktubers won't gravitate towards book reviews.
When booktuber, so this is a sentiment that I had when I was more of a consumer.
Before we had a podcast, before we talked books, you thought this.
Yeah. So watching some of my favorite booktubers and watching their channel grow and all this, and then eventually they just do less and less book reviews and do more manga reviews. And I like manga well enough. I like it. But I was like, why are you not doing more book reviews? Well, it makes sense. At a certain level, there's only so many people that have read the book that they're reviewing that they're kind of capped on the amount of views they can ever get. And so when their channel starts growing beyond that, the only way to grow or even maintain their level is going to a different genre of medium.
Rich, can we get a little bit of honesty here in the public?
Yeah.
Can I ask you something personal?
Go ahead.
So in the past month of our channel,
Yeah.
2 things happened, okay? We had just a very interesting discussion on a very small book, mind you, on Mort.
Yeah.
On Mort, the Discworld
Made
book.
me very happy.
Like, you love that. And
I love it. It's
Mort
my
is
favorite thing.
Don't you love Discworld? It brings us together. It's a great time. And we had a nice hour and a half discussion where he wrote a bunch of notes about it. We thought about it. We talked it outside the podcast, okay? It took a lot of effort that we wanted to do. And then video came out. It was like, oh, that did awful. And then the following 2 weeks, I said, Rich, listen, we have some books we have to read. We have to read Lightbringer. We have to read Shadow of Light. Well, not Shadow of Lightning.
Oh, read that one.
No, book 4 in the Shadow
Rising.
The Shadow Rising, yeah. We're
Also Lies Loch Lamora.
So we're reading a book. Hey, let's do a little bit of easier content. Let me just come up. I'll pull up a list. We'll read first lines. People might not like that, whatever. And
It's
then
easier.
It's easier.
You know what? And
So,
this is so long. Let's split the video into 2 while we're recording.
Listen, who cares about the audience? Let's milk every second we can. Let's extend this. Let's make it a 2-parter.
Oh yeah.
All that. And we felt horrible. Like, oh, they're going to hate us. You all loved it. You like torture.
That's our best video.
You masochists. Because then Rich, like I called Rich after each of those videos going, Rich, I think we have become the Oppenheimer quote. I am become death.
Oppenheimer.
What did I say?
Oppenheimer.
I said that?
Yeah.
You're roll it back, Austin. Roll back. Is that what I said? The Oppenheimer quote.
Yeah, you said it weird. Like Apple or something.
Johnny Appleseed. That's the quote Johnny Appleseed said.
Yeah.
Well, the train of thought basically was that we have become that content heavy. Like, those do better because a lot more people can click on it rather than a book review.
I mean, yeah, no, it's not like blaming people or anything, but there's...
Oh, no.
It's if you're in the BookTube community and you're watching videos, you're not going to watch a book review on something that you haven't read or you're not particularly interested in reading. So ultimately, you're just not going... That's a lower pool of people that you're drawing from versus our first line video. Everyone that likes fantasy books can click on that and enjoy it.
Right.
And it's the same thing with manga. There's way more people that read manga. And the barrier to entry to read a manga, where to start reading One Piece is 5-10 minutes of your time versus trying to start to read Sanderson. You want to start with Way of Kings. That's 40 hours of your time.
Oh, good luck.
So,
yeah,
barrier to entry is a little lower.
But Richard and I will make this promise of we're always going to do book reviews.
That is true.
Now, maybe we come big enough where we have to do what Merphy did. And let's wait after this video in a second here. I said, we dirty. We're going to do it right after this statement, okay? But we might come to a point where books are a second channel. Who knows? But regardless, we will do.
That's a
reviews.
long way off.
Oh, that is so.
That's a long.
That was also
way off.
strangely optimistic. I don't even know if I can't even delude myself enough to think we'll get there.
Yeah.
So basically, it'll be on this channel.
Also, there's only so many of content videos that I can do personally without doing reviews, like book reviews. I want to do book reviews. That's my thing.
That's what we want to do. So
it's what I enjoy.
We will continue doing it.
And so, we got to do a bit of what we want to do, and then do a bit of what the audience wants us to do. It's a little bit of give and take. But
that
let's
middle ground.
Actually watch this video that we tried to watch 30 minutes ago.
This is Merphy's announcement of her saying this is her 430,000 sub channel, her main channel, and she's saying this.
Hello, so today we are going to be talking about my future plans for my two channels, Merphy Napier and Merphy Napier Reviews, and the two types of content that I make, books and manga, and that I am finally splitting the two off and letting them have their own spaces. I've been making videos on this channel specifically for 7.5 years.
Do you think we'll make it that long, 7.5 years?
No. I'll be honest, no.
We barely made it 1.5, and we're struggling. So here, really, you don't think so?
I'm just gonna need distance. Like, I'm hoping the metaverse works. That way I can still do this podcast with you, but I don't have to be in the same room as you. That will save our channel.
Please, Zuck, save us, Zuck.
And over that time, my goal has always just been to talk about what I read. And because I've always been a book nerd, that focus has always been on books. I just looked back, and it's been almost exactly 3 years ago that I picked up One Piece for the first time, which...
That's how it all starts.
Once you start, you don't go back.
Once you start One Piece, you just can't go back. It's the gateway drug.
I purposely have not started manga because I know I'll like it. I'll be all over it. And that's
kind of like why I haven't tried a cigarette. I know I'll like it. I know I'll like it.
We have addictive personalities.
Yeah.
That's why I don't drink coffee. Actually,
that's where you're wrong.
Yeah, no.
Coffee is the lifeblood of man.
Can I be honest? Can you be honest with me here?
Sure.
And say, me not drinking coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that is to my detriment?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I think you could squeeze some more productivity out of your day if you had some coffee. Like, say you would have some energy. You'd be like, man, I normally would not be this energized, but now I am.
Yeah.
And then you'd go to sleep, and it would hit harder.
So that's why you want me to drink coffee? More productive with the pod?
More productive. Yeah, that's exactly it.
revolutionized my idea about manga. It got me really excited to read new things and to expand my horizons on what I'm reading, and I just really, really fell in love with the series. In my mind, it always makes sense to have it all in the same space because it was just more of me talking about what I was reading, and I was just expanding my horizons on what that looked like.
This exact thing Murphy's saying, we had to deal with on a way smaller scale of, at first with our channel, we were talking about, and this is way back. So you OG Ramblers who've been here for a long time, we did books, movies, television shows. We still will, like we talked about Wheel of Time if it's really related to fantasy sci-fi, but we would talk about movie reviews. If Ant-Man came out, The Northman.
We watched all of the Oscar films.
Yes.
All of them, and did a whole video on ranking the Oscar films. Which one, for me, that was a lot of fun. That was great for me.
It actually was fun.
It was a ton of fun. The fact that I could actually watch the Oscars and had a decent time because like I knew all the movies.
You could go like that. No, that actor or actress was the best. I want them to win.
Yeah.
You had a stake of going, oh, that what a.
Where before I'm looking at it going, I know none of these movies.
Yeah.
Who the hell watches these movies? And then now I'm like, oh, it's me.
I watch those movies.
I watch these movies.
So it was a lot of fun doing, but we figured out what content. What Murphy's going through here is she figured out certain content did better with her audience. Mm-hmm. Just so happens that we love books and movies, and so books we're happy to go with either. But also books books we also do like more.
We liked more, and it seemed to do better
as well. So it kind of we had the perfect answer to our channel. We didn't have the moral qualm. Let's say this happened, Rich. We started a channel. We have movies and books. What if the movies did way better? What would your decision be? Would you have went business mindset? Would you have said, no, we're really doing books, let's try to make it work? Or if movies are just doing phenomenal, do we do that?
I don't know. I built the bookcase. I don't know how we switched to movies and yet we still have a bookcase behind me.
That's right.
I don't know how we do that. I don't have enough DVDs to make a set of DVDs.
So you try to make the books work.
Yeah. I think so.
I think even what we're doing now is when we do a tier list for this, we're always still doing book reviews. And it's always book related. So even this manga talk, it's centered around storytelling and our why it's doing better than books currently are. So it's still in that realm. But I'll let Merphy continue with this.
And since I started combining the two, I've always gotten comments, people saying, I'm not really interested in this, I'm only interested in that, or asking me to have separate spaces for the two different types of what I was reading. I've also gotten comments, to be clear, saying, oh, you got me into manga for the first time, or you got me to pick up books for the first time.
By the way, all those comments from us that say we got you into reading again or reading fantasy again, Rich, those are
very hard.
Aren't those the best?
Those are the best. A couple people saying they started reading The Way of Kings because of us. So cool.
So many more have said they started reading Red Rising because of, our channel. Rich, how's that make you feel?
A little less. I love you, Pierce Brown.
Like, if Pierce is ever watching this,
yeah,
you do like him.
I really like him and his books. I just feel like I have to be negative.
I read a comment yesterday.
I must be the villain. I must embrace my villain role.
I appreciate it. And I was reading a comment the other day from our Way of Kings video, our review way back of, I've never seen someone say they like the book so much and say nothing but shit about the book for an hour and 15 minutes straight. And I like the comment. I went, you tell him. You tell that, Rich. Yeah. All right, here's Murph.
In a really long time, which has always just been so cool to hear. But I've also gotten plenty of feedback from my audience letting me know that it's just not blending as well as I thought it would. There's not as much crossover as I thought there would be for the two types of reading that I focus on.
And so she goes on to explain, we'll stop the video there, but that's the whole explanation.
Yeah, the main thing is the manga circles and the fantasy and sci-fi book circles. Just, they overlap a bit, but it really does seem to be two separate communities where both communities are more, they don't like it when they're watching their manga channel and a bunch of fantasy books come up. They're just not interested. So it makes sense why she wants to separate them. The important thing to note and why the whole title of this video is Manga's Taking Over is Merphy didn't make books her main channel and her side channel is now manga. No, she made her main channel manga. The one with vastly more subscribers. That's now the main manga channel. And the smaller channel is now for books. That is a sign of one is clearly more desired than the other.
And pure numbers. Pure numbers of... Here's an article up here that you sent me. That could you explain this?
Oh, yeah. No, the fact that... Now, here it is. A little bit... The numbers are close. And that it could be argued that this could be ever so slightly wrong depending on where you get your numbers.
Okay.
But it is argued that the Demon Slayer manga, just the one manga series, outsold the entire United States comic book industry in the United States. One manga outsold DC and Marvel. All of them.
Damn. This is for like real.
Oh, yeah.
This is...
Now, it comes down to the American comic book sales. If you get the numbers dropping every year, it roughly estimates to about 82 million copies sold, roughly, in a year. For, I believe, 2020 is when that was sold.
You're talking for comics?
For American comics.
Yeah.
Demon Slayer sold 83 million something.
Right.
So it's like, it's either off by a million or it did beat out the entire comic book industry. It's massive.
And that's one manga.
Yeah.
Beat out.
And then there's all the other different mangas. That's not including One Piece. That's not including all the other different side mangas or romance and all this stuff.
Fun fact for you then. Do you know which country outside of Japan has the largest marketplace for manga? Which country? I'll tell you.
Brazil.
It's not Brazil.
Dang.
And it's not the U.S. You get one more.
I get one more?
Yeah, I'll give you two more because you only struck out once with Brazil. You want a hint in what continent?
I want a continent, yeah.
Europe.
Europe.
Yep.
I'm going to throw something out of left field.
Okay.
Poland?
No, but I see where you're going with it.
I was just like, maybe it's just Poland for some reason.
We do kibasi, pierogies, and manga. That's our nightly routine.
What is it?
France.
France
has a huge manga market. For some reason.
France doesn't have their own things. I mean, why? It makes sense why they would consume the content of others because they have nothing themselves.
But this...
Hi, French people.
Hi, French people, yeah.
Come at me.
Our goal by the end, when this podcast ends, definitely not 7 years like Merphy. I don't think we'll make it that long.
No.
But is to offend every nationality.
Oh, yeah.
On this pod. Not being that offensive, of course. But, you have to... We got Poland.
Yes,
we got
offensive.
Polish people out of the way. We got French people out of the way. Comment what you are down below.
We'll talk shit about your country next.
You're next.
But yeah, no.
What's this next article we have here? This is why Japanese manga is outselling American comic books in the West. So this is
kind of the exact same thing, but it goes into some details on maybe why.
Okay.
I think it does have something good to say of Western comic books are not serving the audience that they have. There's a problem of the nature of comic books where it's the exact same characters recycled over and over in different universes to the point it's so confusing. You don't know where, like, if you pick up Batman, like, you've read Batman, it's now Batman with what if his mom survived? I don't know. And now that's the Batman.
Okay.
But you're rehashing the same characters over and over in different shades. And then they try and introduce new characters and it just never works, and they're constantly rebooting their universe. Manga it's separate. They have their own thing.
and it's new things.
And it concludes. It ends. A manga starts and eventually it ends and has a story arc with character development, if you believe it, where at the end of
All right.
at the end of an arc, they don't reset back to the way they were. No, they actually change and grow.
So the comic book industry is kind of like your Sherlock Holmes, your James Bond films, where it's a serialized. This is just the character you're following. You're following Batman.
Yeah, and to be fair, manga does have that type of stuff too.
But they just have so much that
They have so much they have other stuff. And even the ones that you would consider more serialized, like One Piece. One Piece is in many ways serialized, or Naruto. they have character arcs. They do eventually change and grow. It's slow.
So
but
it gives you the
do.
satisfaction of what a book would do.
Oh, yeah. Over a long enough period of time. But ultimately, the proof is in the pudding. American comic book stories are just not interested by the general American audience. And manga apparently scratches the itch. More so than actual fantasy books. Like full-on books. So
I think it's time I give you the next example of an interesting plot line from a manga you've never heard of.
You doubt my ability. You doubt my knowledge.
There is no way you heard this one. And if you did, tell me right away. It's called, this manga story is called Oretama. Do you know what it translates to?
Go ahead.
If anyone's at work or something, this is definitely not safe for work, so turn it up louder. Make sure you get really uncomfortable with your colleagues. So it translates to my balls, okay?
Okay.
This story, here's the blurb. The fate...
You could do it. You made me say the uncomfortable thing last time.
It's just the first sentence is hilarious. I need a tissue. Swear to God. I'm just gonna say, okay. The fate of the world rests in one man's testicles. It's such a funny line.
Doesn't all the world's problems? Isn't that our world?
Just to show you how much of a child I am, I'm literally tearing up from the most childish line known to man. Okay. The fate of the world rests in one man's testicles. In a freak accident, the Queen of Terror is sealed inside of Satao Kota's testicles, thus preventing her from raining destruction onto the world, of course. You know. However, the Queen of Terror's evil friend, her evil friend Elise, is determined to free the Queen at all costs. Elise has 30 days to bust the Queen out of Satao's balls before it's too late.
Oh,
Rich, you've definitely never heard of that one.
I'm honestly impressed with myself. That's a good thing. It's a very good thing that I don't know that one.
So I'm going to say two things. First thing is, wow, that's unique. But the second thing, you know what I respect about it?
How forward it is.
Not the forwardness. I respect that. Look at Hollywood. Terminator 27. Fast and Furious, who knows? X 9, 8, 2, 7, 4, whatever. John Wick 4, 5, 6, even though John Wick's movies are good and what. But you have all these serialized things. At least they're going for a plot that is new.
Now, here would be the pushback on that from manga fans.
Yeah.
To give an example of a genre, isekai. Isekai is a genre in manga and I guess in storytelling. Other genres have taken this. But it's basically person in our world is transported to another world. Now, there's another form of isekai of someone in a fantasy world is transported to our world. But either way...
Transported. Portal fantasy.
Person in one world is now in another world and has to... And you're immediately thrown in because they're your avatar to the world. Mystery world, this person doesn't know anything, so they have to learn about it, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
There are so many isekais that they're effectively the same. And they all have a weird twist on it. Like some of the most boring ones. There's a whole isekai manga and anime that is isekai guy that comes to a fantasy world with his smartphone. That's the twist. He has his smartphone.
Oh, okay.
Does that sound dull?
A little bit.
Yeah, because it is.
Okay.
It's real dull. It's real stupid is what it is.
Maybe my elation of hearing how hilarious that blurb is got me carried away.
Oh, no. Exactly. No, there's a lot of mediocre
I'm sure.
bullshit that, like, it's worse than Fast and Furious 10. It's like generic isekai number 347.
Gotcha.
Yes, they're written by different people and technically have different characters, but they're the same.
Okay, because I have not read a manga in my life.
Yeah. Good for you.
You think that's a positive thing?
Oh, generally, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I would spend way less time on the toilet if I didn't read manga.
So that's the majority of when you read manga?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So you associate manga
it's my toilet time.
with the bathroom?
Exactly. Everyone has to have the thing they read on the pot. Mine is manga.
I respect
I'm not
it.
bringing my like paper book into the bathroom. No.
Well, since I knew so little about manga coming in, I was like, you know what? I'm going to provide, like I said, some weird stories and some factoids about manga.
Mm-hmm.
I got a factoid for you.
Go ahead.
Do you know why in mangas and now animes, why the characters have such large eyes?
Typically makes them more cute, I guess.
That's part of it. Yeah, that's part of it.
Also, I imagine it's much easier to draw large eyes than small eyes because you have to do fine detail, where a big eye is big circle and you don't have to get finer detail.
You're not completely off. Definitely that's part of it. The historical reason, I'll give the boring then the fun answer, is the godfather of manga, Osamu Tezuka. Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
He created Astro Boy. He's considered the godfather of manga, kind of like Tolkien is the epic fantasy. And this specifically sprang from Tezuka, this godfather of manga, really loved Disney animation. And he watched Bambi, it said, over 80 times. Over 80 times he watched Bambi, and Bambi has these large eyes and very emotive. And he was so obsessed with it that he borrowed those large eyes and started using it in his mangas. Now, what that also did, the reason Disney uses large eyes is part of it to make animal cuter, and also when you're animating something to show emotion. Having really large eyes is to show quivering eyes, or if you have really, if your eyes are very small, you associate that with coldness and less expression. And so when you're watching things, these give you, the viewer, visual cues. So, moral of the story, you can't escape Disney. The Disney monopoly's everywhere.
Yeah. That's why the comic book industry uses the exact same thing with their masks. Often. So, good example is Spider-Man. Spider-Man's like goggle, eye caps that has over his eyes. Instead of showing, tiny circle eyes, they have these big eye windows on his mask. But because it's in a comic, those eye windows can be shaped. So basically now his eyes are much bigger and can show far more expression with way less effort.
Interesting.
So that's why a lot of superheroes have the masks, and it makes it easier to emote.
Okay, so would you say then manga has an advantage? I mean, obviously you could see pictures and art, so you could visualize mangas where you can't books. What would you say the advantage of manga is, and what does fantasy, what does our niche, our book niche, have over manga?
I mean, right off the bat, you have the power of the imagination. It's, if you are able to write a good enough book and describe something well, and you describe the world, describe the setting, describe the people, it is going to be more vivid in your mind, and your mind is going to create better than what anyone else can draw. And it's the kind of same thing with horror. The best horror is the one that implies the monster. The minute you show the monster, it becomes way less scary. I think there's something to be said of a fantasy book. The minute you show it, it loses a little bit of the magic. Now, manga does have like compensated where they have these such extreme art styles where it's not realistic, it's not literal, so you have a bit more imagination.
Yeah.
It has more imaginative qualities than, say, a movie, typically, but I think a little bit less imagination than a straight-up book.
Got it. So do you, when you see like Merphy's channel changing to manga, and you see other people that people like manga,
Yeah.
So you're not blaming them. You're not saying like, oh, it's a lesser form, or what is your stance on this whole manga takeover in the book community?
Well, for me, it's a little sad sometimes. See, I remember watching Daniel Green's content and just noticing he just put up less book reviews than before and started doing more fantasy news and manga. I think now he does less manga reviews. Still does some, but it's mostly fantasy news.
I'm guessing the reason he sticks with fantasy news is he didn't want to go the manga direction and still wanted to stick with the stuff he likes more, fantasy, but can't review books because it doesn't he does this for a living. He has to figure out, how do I pay my bills?
But it's the main thing is, in addition, he doesn't do all book reviews.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So he found something he liked, which was fantasy news, and people also liked watching it. Have you heard of Ikigai?
Ikigai?
Ikigai. I'm saying that so wrong. Have you heard of it?
No, what's that?
It's the.
Explain it.
I know. It's just I don't. It's so judging. It's like like I'm going to a job interview every time I talk to you.
Oh, good. Do you still have a job tomorrow? That's that's an important question. Ask yourself every day.
So Ikigai, this is a chart you could look at, and it's what tells you what the perfect profession or what the best of all worlds is for you. Is you pick something you are. Yeah.
It's a weird name for something very practical.
Yeah. So there's 4 parts of this circle, and they all intervene into one. It is something you're good at, something you love, something the world needs, and something you get paid for. Now, there's this chart you look at. If it's something that you're good at and the world needs, that's your profession. Like, you just make money. But then you're missing what you love, and you're missing something if you only have 3 of those. So typically, people who are in their 40s and 50s, or if you hate your job, it's not the thing you love, but it's what you're good at, the world needs, and you get paid for. People usually fulfill those. The world needs it, I'm good at it, I can get paid for it, but I don't love it. So you lack the passion. Usually you feel an emptiness there. Or it could be something, hey, I love this, I'm good at it, and the world needs it, but you don't get paid for it. So now you're like, ugh. Like you don't feel the emptiness, but you're just, you feel full, you feel passion, but you're maybe paycheck to paycheck, you don't have enough money, and so you got stress in your life. So the best of all worlds is to hit all 4 of those.
What happens to people like us that don't fill any of those circles?
You get a podcast like this where a lot of passive-aggressive comments and,
No. Never mind. We fill one circle.
Which circle?
I like it. I like books.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. Let's get a high five for that. Yeah.
Fantasy books are good.
Yeah.
Everything else? Are we good at it? I don't know.
Let's break this down. Does the world need us?
No.
Definitely.
No.
No.
No one needs any podcast. If anyone says, like, if you're watching another podcast and they say, and they start spouting about how, oh, this podcast is doing something very important, they're lying to you. It's not important. It's a podcast. There is no podcast that's important. Those words don't go together. Just to clear that out of the way, we are not important. No one needs us.
I would define us as we exist.
We exist
on the same plane as other humans. And
exactly.
We're there.
We provide a momentary distraction from the terrible reality that is life. That's the role we fill.
So, for one of the circles, is it what we do? Does the world need it? No.
No.
Now, are we good at it?
No. Better than some?
No, here's what I'd say. We're better than we were yesterday, which is still yesterday.
We're better than we were a year ago.
Yeah, that's for sure. Better than a year ago. So we're making baby steps, but oh boy, are they baby steps.
Yeah. Watching other people's videos definitely gives a little humbling action of like, oof, man, look at just how clear and crisp the video is.
That lighting.
Man, that lighting is perfect.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. That thumbnail is just on. It fits with the brand and everything.
And you more sort of going like, why do they have that look? Richard, that's called happiness. Just, I got to just clarify to you.
That's called good looks.
And next is, do we get paid for this? Well,
join our
Patreon. Look at that. We didn't have a Patreon ad until so far into the video. Aren't you, viewers, are you proud of us? It took a long time for us to drop.
What? 40 minutes for us to shill for ourselves. I think we deserve a little pat on the back.
So, Rich, go ahead. How about you shill a little bit?
Hey, if you want to support us and support our very useless, pointless podcast, you can join our Patreon where you join an exclusive Discord. You talk with us about books. We have a book club once a month. For this month, we're actually talking about The Lies of Locke Lamora. I don't know when this book goes up, so like end of November.
That's December 2nd, that discussion.
December 2nd is Lies of Locke Lamora.
But then we pick a new book the next month.
New book.
And we all talk in a Discord chat together about the book with Rich and me and others, and there's community book clubs, and there's games, and it's fun. All right, So do we get paid for it? Sometimes.
Sometimes.
And now, do we enjoy it? Is it what we love?
See, I enjoy the content. I just don't enjoy the company.
So,